hundreds of indigenous people marched in the Brazilian capital to protest against a proposal that could jeopardize the demarcation of hundreds of ancestral lands, a day before the country's highest court resumes the trial on that matter. The magistrates of the Federal Supreme Court resume the so-called trial of the century for the indigenous people. At the center of the discussions is the temporary framework thesis, defended by agribusiness, which only recognizes as indigenous territories those occupied by them when the Constitution was promulgated in 1988. The indigenous people consider that the Magna Carta recognizes their rights without foreseeing any time frame, and affirm that in many periods they were displaced from their territories, especially during the military dictatorship, with which it would be impossible to determine their presence in 1988. According to the NGO Instituto Socioambiental, almost a third of the more than 700 indigenous reserves already delimited in Brazil, the majority in the Amazon, could be affected. Indigenous people from different ethnic groups in the country, some with painted skin and wearing typical costumes, arrows and feather headdresses, marched towards the Supreme Federal Court, STF, from a camp they set up in the capital this week to air their claims in front of the seats of power. Some raised banners against the Marco de la Muerte, or demanded that the STF save the peoples of the Amazon. In some sections they were accompanied by the Minister of Indigenous Peoples, and other members of the government.